to meet you, Deborah Helser, and to thank you for your beautiful participation in this truly amazing book that Calm Parents, Confident Kids. And what better could life be if we've got calm parents?
I'll tell you, I wasn't always the calmest parent.
Nor
Um,
I.
though, along the way, you seek out different modalities of help, and one of the earliest help that I received was from a parenting step program that was run by the BOCES program in our local BOCES program. And I have to thank Gary Hoffman years ago, rest in peace, Gary, um, that he helped me immensely with communication skills, and I use them to this day with iMessages and addressing the feelings right away and things of that nature because I was, all moms
We don't
point.
come with a manual, do we?
No, but now we have one. Isn't that
Right,
great?
right. This
Because
book
I wish
is
I would have had this.
fabulous. Yep. So for those that are listening, we do have this book is now on Amazon, actually in a lot of locations, but we put the link in the message. It's getbook.at train your brain, and it'll take you right to the link on Amazon. We are so excited, and let me look. No, I'll look later, um, because I have to go back to the site. We were already a hot number one hot new release in a category, so I was really excited to see the progress with that. And I'll check when in between the next two interviews. I'll check this. But Deborah, why did you decide to write? You wrote two chapters in this book. What was your deciding factor to participate?
Well, it was basically because I came from a large family, and my parents, um, even though they weren't known as brain trainers back then, they had a lot of the same, premises and modalities that are in this book. And I just felt that I needed to share that because, like we all know, anybody that is a parent or working with children, you got to have some more tools in your toolbox because you never know what's going to come up. And my mom was always so positive, and she'd always say, as I said in my chapter, you gotta eliminate the negative and
Negative. Yep, I see that. I have that spot
with
up in the book.
positive.
It's like, whoa.
And so, that was her method long ago. And same with my father. He didn't realize he was giving us mantras for life, like the one that I state in my book is, nothing to it but to do it. Set your mind to it. So it's all about, your mindset and being positive and, sharing that positivity with your children
Amen.
and not and enabling them and knowing that they themselves can participate in that and teaching them how to.
Well, and staying positive, I think for many times children do not grow up in an environment where they have the positive feedback. And
Yeah.
as the teachers of our children and our grandchildren, and there's times that have one grandson that his parents were divorced, and it's been really, really hard on him. And he'd come to my house because I was taking care of him quite often during that time, and he'd be just so, sad.
Oh,
And I would constantly throughout the day is like, I am wonderful, and say it, come on, say it. We'd get the song going. I am fabulous, and I'm, I'm so smart. All those things is so important to just really um, support our children and feed them that positive that they so need to hear because they are our leaders of the world, and they need to
absolutely.
know that the very thoughts, the words they speak in their thoughts can be changed, and they can make a difference in the world too.
And I've worked in special ed for over, 22 years now. And being with special needs students, a lot of them have, so many different, little personalities, and adapting to those personalities, they have many negative thoughts. I'm not good enough, or, I can't
Something's
do this.
wrong with me. Yeah.
Yes, and that's not the case, because a child, I have learned, a child is a child is a child, no matter what their abilities or disabilities. I learned that early on, that kids are going to pull what kids are going to pull,
No matter
no
what.
matter
Yes.
what. I had a student years ago that had very limited speech, but yet she pulled one over on both of her aides. I was one of her aides as well. I was the afternoon aide and the morning aide. And I, would swap jobs, and she pulled one off on us, wanting to use the toilet with me. And then the other aide came back and saw that, she was in the bathroom, and she says, "I just took her." And I said, "Oh." I said, "I've been taking her after lunch all the time." She says, "I take her before lunch all the time, and she does not need to go." So, it's kind of funny how, you learn really quick that a child is a child is a child, no matter what the level.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful. I have a cousin that serves special needs. I mean, severe special needs children. And wow, what she does, but she wouldn't trade it for any of this. She said, "I would not want to go back into, normal, what they call normal
Yeah,
kids, because
regular. We
this
say
is her."
regular ed.
Yeah, regular.
Yeah,
Wow, the way she teaches and the relationship she has with these children, truly amazing. Truly
it is.
amazing.
It really is. Uh, it doesn't, my job during the day as a teacher aide does not pay a whole heck of a lot monetarily, but in the realm of self-worth and accomplishment, I love it. It just gives me great purpose in life to, be helpful to not only the students, but to the teachers and to the community.
And it's such a beautiful way to give back. You wrote chapter 4, which is Who Knew, and that's where you talk about how you were raised and the positive attributes that you learned from your parents, and how that impacted you as a parent, as a youngster and in raising your children. You also wrote a chapter called Little Eyes and Ears, chapter 16. Talk to us about this chapter and what the premise is behind it.
Well, little eyes and ears. In this world today, there are so many things that children are privy to that back in the day, no one would have, allowed a child to hear this, that, or the other thing.
Mm,
So I feel a lot of times parents need to be better filters for
right.
their children, not only on, social media, but in, you know, you're speaking around them. Have those private conversations. Don't let them be privy to every single thing. And little eyes and ears also learn through many different things that happen. And, your example that you set, and I believe, refresh my memory, is this, I haven't read it in a long time, but this is, I believe, where I tell the story of one of our summer vacations.
Yes, because you're talking about summer of 2000, and it said
Yes,
how brain training probably saved our lives. I'd like
yes,
to hear that.
exactly.
Yeah.
We were on a trip to Canada way back before COVID, and it was easier traveling. And we had gone to the CNE and had a wonderful time. And my sister and her husband John had gone with their children as well in a separate vehicle. And, we followed them up. I was without my husband at the time because he had to, go to work and didn't have the time off. Well, on our way home, we had some big issues with our vehicle. And
oh, joy.
it turned into quite the scenario where I had to, pull out all of the stops as far as, Mama Bear protecting her kids and having the positive brain set to say, I can do it, going back to that mantra that my dad always said, nothing to it but to do it, set your mind to it. So the situation that happened was on the Peace Bridge coming back from Canada, and my car started to have some issues. I didn't realize at the time that the transmission had gone. And so I was, speaking out loud, and I didn't realize it at the time because I was just, so focused on trying to get my vehicle to the top of the bridge, because here I was in this truck lane that was going really slow, but it was still moving. And I was going from drive 1 to drive 2, drive 1, drive 2. Come on, I need to get there because it's like, you've got my 3 kids and their luggage, and it's just like, this isn't happening. And I knew I had AAA, but this was before cell phones, people. So I have nothing but myself to rely on. I can't call anybody. And that I had to rely on myself. And so my children were witnessing this throughout. And I, ended up getting to the top of the bridge, and the line that I was in with the truckers had stopped. So lo and behold, I was, hoping and praying that my vehicle was going to move forward again, and it didn't. So I, took it upon myself to walk to the trucker in the back, because I was thinking, well, if I just put it in neutral and he just slowly pushes me, I could make it. Well, I suggested that to the trucker, and he thought I was out of my mind.
And he's like, lady.
That lady, my insurance would have my head. So, or liability would have my head. So there was no doing that. But I did notice that he did bump himself out from the fast traffic. Mind you, the next lane over was moving at breakneck speed, at regular speed. So here I was, I'm walking back to my vehicle, and I'm thinking, okay, now what do I do? So I said, well, I'm going to put it in neutral. And I've pushed a car before, because back when my husband and I were dating, his car had broken down, and it was a standard where you could pop the clutch, but you still had to have some motion going forward. So, him and I started pushing it together, and then he jumped in the vehicle, and while I was still pushing it, and popped the clutch, and so, but I didn't have anybody but myself. And so here I was walking back to the car thinking, oh, I can do this. I did it before. No problem. Got this. So that's when I instructed my daughter to get in the driver's seat. Well, she wasn't of driving age, but desperate times.
Sometimes you have to do what you got to do.
And she said, "No, Mommy, no." And I said, "Yes, you can. We got this. All you got to do is put your foot on the brake when Mommy says so." So we started. I started pushing, and I got it moving, and then we were on the downslope, and I was ready to jump in the vehicle, and I go to open the door. The door is locked. I'm like, open the door. So here I am running alongside the car. I jumped in the car and just put the brakes on in time before the truck before us was, about to be, you know,
Sure.
missed by my front bumper. So, you know, we, you know, got through all of that with my thoughts, my positive thoughts that I can do this, I've got to do this, and I'm going to do this. And so, you know, they saw that firsthand. And, you know, sometimes I think back to it and, you know, I'm like, did that really happen? And I asked the kids, you know, what was your perspective on this, you know? And I remember telling them that when they went back to school, that when the teacher asked them to write about their summer vacation, and
They had a
the teacher
story.
said, "Oh no, that didn't happen. You just give them my phone number and have them call me, and I will, you know, testify to it," because you know it was very hard to believe that you know that had happened, but it did, and we persevered and we got through it, and we're all the better for it because you know now they saw that their mom was in action and didn't just sit there and crumble.
Didn't
You know,
crumble.
that you know,
You picked up that strength, and you
yeah,
did what you had to do as a mom. You had to do it.
yeah, you know, mama bears, you don't want to mess with them.
Amazing what we can do, huh?
It is like this book. It, you know, I never would have, well, I shouldn't say I never would have. I, you know, had, strange to say, had been to a psychic years ago. You know, we do those fun little things. And she said, you know, are you writing a book? And I said, no. She says, well, I see that you're going to be an author. And I said, oh, I said, well, you know, I've always wanted to write a book. I've got some ideas, but, you know, I've never pursued it. And she says, well, just be open to it. And so, you know, lo and behold, I had been gifted a book by my director in Pampered Chef, Jill Johnson, years ago. It was Dana Wild's book, Train Your Brain.
How
And
interesting. I
it's,
wonder how the story came
yes,
around.
and it's an amazing book. So I recommend that book to anybody that wants to, you know, look more into brain training because it is phenomenal. And that's what started me on that path. I joined Dana's group on social media, and it was a Facebook thread that just started off with a, wouldn't it have been great to have this information back when we were, you know, new parents?
Oh,
And we said, yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, why don't we write a book? It's like, okay, there, you know, there were many people that, you know, didn't choose to join in. But then, you know,
but it
we
would look at
got,
the combination of women that did decide to
it's
join in.
amazing.
It's
It's
a
amazing.
truly incredible book. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it for just all the different ways to come at things, but still have that same thread of, you know, thoughts. Because, like I said, I didn't realize, you know, back when my parents were teaching me all these things that they were training my brain, and they didn't either. But you know, it, a lot of times it does come naturally, but a lot of times it doesn't. We have to remind ourselves of the different methods and ways that have been proven to work.
Right, right. There's so much at our disposal now, and the tool sets that we have, and the reminders, the constant, amazing reminders that we get. This book is just filled with amazing examples and really kind of fun ways of thinking about things too. Because
No.
and to realizing what we have at our fingertips here, not only with the book, but what's available to us in the world by people like Dana Wild, like people, many people that are serving in the world, and how we serve as well, because we are able to really make a difference just by shining by example.
And to be open to it, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
that's, you know, the first step, I believe, in anything is to be open to it.
be open, and yes, and what a beautiful example that you're serving. And I enjoyed the pictures you had in your chapter of your family, and kind of the weaving of the storytelling
Yeah.
that makes reading a book come to life is incorporating the story.
Yeah. And I think the more we share our experiences with each other, like, oh, I tried that and that, no, didn't work. But, I found that when I did it this way, it did. Just like any kind of like recipe that you use, you follow a certain thing, right? And it comes out the
Right.
same every time. Um, but, same thing with brain training. If you get better and better at it and practice it more and more, you're going to get the same, great results. And I have three amazing children, I have to say, because of it and all the things that I've learned and been open to. Um, and it does come always from a place of love, and just making sure that your children know that you love them. Yes, you go throughout the day and do all these things that you think, show them love, but they need to
Mm,
hear it. They need to hear
verbalizing
it.
it. Yes, yes.
Yes,
And that constant reinforcement of how wonderful they are, and
exactly.
all how beautiful they are, how wonderful they are, and
Yes,
all the things they do right, rather than you did that again. Why did you do that?
right.
Thing.
Exactly.
Because it's what we inculcate into them at a young age, and the younger we start, the better it is.
Right. But not
Yeah.
being afraid also to call them out on things that,
Oh, we have to.
are not appropriate, or, keeping them in check as well, but in a
There's
more,
ways to do it. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
more factual type of way. Now, let's look at this, kind of thing. I always like to give them the power to correct themselves. Um, you know, Giving choices is also empowering. So, there's a lot of different things that I've learned along the way that I felt important to share.
Well, speaking to our kids and storytelling, as it to show examples of things that have happened. One of the things, I don't know if you've ever seen this series. It's Finding Our Roots from William Henry Gates Jr. It's on PBS,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's a very long series. But
Hmm.
in this series, he takes movie stars and politicians and people that are just really out there in the world, and he does this genealogy on them, and he does the DNA testing and everything, go back and to find where they came from. It's been amazing in this series how so many people do not know past their parents. They don't even know much about what happened in their parents' lives, let alone grandparents and where they've come from. It is fascinating, and really, you know, how important it is to carry on these conversations and to embrace our kids with storytelling and talking about where we came from, because how
Yeah,
else are we going to learn? And even I always say, why don't we learn from history? This is crazy,
right.
but we don't talk about it. How are we going to learn?
It's
How
so
are we
funny
going
that you
to?
say that and you brought that up because this past week I have had a distant cousin's name pop up in my brain multiple times. And I have not seen this cousin in years. And but yet this cousin and I were great pals when we were young. And I was like, why is this happening? And I'm like, okay, there's got to be something that I need to reconnect with her. And so I had to do some research to find her because of her original married name was no longer, because she had gotten a divorce. But, her new married name I ended up finding in her father's obituary. The things we can find. So social media is good in a lot of ways.
Right.
Um, but I was able to find her, and we just reconnected last night, and we're reminiscing about our parents and everything. And so that family connection truly is important, and letting your children know, where they came from, and you know good, bad, or ugly, it
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
matter. We just need to I think that grounds us and lets us know that we're not just one by ourselves.
That's right.
We're
We're all connected. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Deborah, this has been such a beautiful time with you, and we need to wind down our conversation. But for what do you hope that somebody that picks up this book, what do you hope they walk away with once they've had a chance to read the book?
Embrace the knowledge inside of it and don't be saying, oh, that's fluff and stuff or that's poo poo, give it a try, and more than once. And, set some goals along the way, maybe just, take one chapter at a time and take one little thing from it. Don't try to accomplish,
Just pick out the nuggets one
yes,
at a time.
exactly.
Yes.
Whatever resonates with you the most. And, just enjoy it and enjoy parenting. It goes so fast.
Oh,
And yes,
yeah.
it's, hindsight again is 2020 all the time. But I think we've given a lot of that hindsight to people so that they can, use it to the benefit of being a better parent,
Mhm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this beautiful interview. For those that are going to pick up the book or want to pick up the book, it is on Amazon. There is a link in the stream of this, but you can also go to getbook.at, train your brain, and you will just love this book because there's so much that is to be gained, but also share it with, if you have young parents that are in your life that guidance. But I don't think we have to be a young parent. I think just anybody at this point in life can do with the reminders of how our thinking can affect our lives for the good.
Absolutely.
Right. Very good. Thank you. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Becky.
Beautiful.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right. Bye.